Hi. So this morning I'm gonna tell a story, another Carlsted, Minnesota story that occurred to me a little while ago. When Papa first started going out to Minnesota, when he first bought this farm in Minnesota, he went out for visits. We actually went there once. I guess you'd call it a camping holiday. But he met this old Norwegian bachelor, they're called. It's kind of a, I don't know, maybe you'd call it a trope of these old farmers that never get married and they live by themselves on these farms and nasty old houses. But there was this man named Elmer Eskilsson, and he was definitely a Norwegian bachelor farmer, and he was kind of he was a small, wiry guy. It looked like he was always dirty, always covered in diesel oil and whatever. And so when we had first got that farm, Papa bought a tractor. And if I remember correctly, I don't know why I remember this, but it was a Massey Ferguson 727, I think. And it was red with yellow lettering on it. And but anyway, it needed the motor needed to be rebuilt. So he made a deal with this old guy, Elmer Eskilsson, who probably then was younger than I am now, but he seemed quite old, to over one winter to rebuild this tractor motor for him. And so the story goes, as I remember, that Elmer was working on this thing outside of his house, rebuilding this engine, and it got too cold. So he wanted to move the engine inside his house where it was warm. And so the way that he made that happen was he cut a hole in the side of his house with a chainsaw in order to move the motor inside so he could work on it. I'm pretty sure I remember that story correctly. But I also will say this too, that there was a bar or a pub or whatever in the little town called Strangquist, and somebody that we used to know when we lived there, she had worked there, and they referred to Elmer as Old Swamp Buck, and that might explain to you that that's probably a pretty accurate description of how he looked, like an old swamp buck. So anyway, all right, there's another Carlsted story for you. Love you.